There is no ideal body. We come in all different shapes and sizes and abilities. Anyone else who is telling me how I should look or feel in my body, that to me is like an alarm. I've never met anyone who's learned to embrace their body and regretted the decision to do so. Not one person. I want every woman on the planet to prioritize herself, because there is nothing greater or more powerful than having a peaceful relationship with your body. But I think if every woman who's listening to this could dial down the noise and spend more time with herself, I reckon that might be a really good way for us to be healthier and happier.
It's that shift and the change of it doesn't matter what it looks like, it doesn't matter what other people are trying to tell me to do for the appearance of it. My body is the thing that helps me run a charity, to be a mum of 3 teenage kids, to be able to feel good. I want to nourish it. I want it to be doing the things that light up my life. It's a vehicle.
And I guess this is the thing that I want every listener to understand and appreciate, is that
it is so frustrating. I feel like I'm training so hard. I'm working out. I am looking after myself, but the weight is not shifting.
I just don't know what the to do anymore.
Is it my hormones? Should I be avoiding HIIT exercise?
No matter how much I try, I can't stop eating chocolate.
For so many women, weight becomes a battle, a number, a judgment, a story we never chose but somehow inherited. But what if weight isn't the problem? What if it's a message, a signal from a body trying to communicate? Not the noise we're constantly fed. Keto, fasting, Ozempic, hormones, cortisol, genetics, shame, but real information, without blame, without fear. That is the question that led us to create our Weight and Metabolism series, exploring weight through an unbiased approach combining medical, functional, and energetic understanding. We sit down with leading experts and real women to reframe how we understand weight, health, and the bodies we live in, giving you clarity, context, and a way forward. This is What's My Body Telling Me, the podcast where we let the body do the talking and we listen differently. In this episode of the Weight and Metabolism season, we're talking about something lab tests can't measure: how you feel in your body. We're living in a world of filters, AI-edited bodies, Ozempic conversations, and constant pressure to shrink ourselves. It's no wonder so many women are asking, is it actually possible to feel at peace in my body without obsessing over how it looks? Today, I'm joined by Taryn Brumfitt, 2023 Australian of the Year, award-winning filmmaker of Embrace and Embrace Kids, best-selling author and founder of the body image movement. Her work has impacted millions globally, reshaping how women, men, and young people think about their bodies. She is one of the most influential and respected voices in the body image advocacy today. In this conversation, we explore why shame has never worked, what actually creates long-term well-being, and how to start relating to your body as a vehicle for your life, not just an ornament. Let's get into today's episode. Taryn, I just watched your documentary last night, and the opening screen was 91% of women hate their body. And that statistic completely threw me. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, because this documentary was 10 years ago, are you noticing that more women are starting to love their body, or it feels pretty much the same as when you recorded this documentary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because a decade on from that film, we're now seeing new challenges. You know, in the film, we were talking about magazines. We're now talking about AI. We were talking about dieting. Now we're talking about GLP-1s. So a lot has changed. I'm not sure if you can definitively say this was a moment in time. How are we all feeling now? Because it's more nuanced than that. But what I would say is that sadly, the world that we live in still promotes shame as a motivator for people and as a driver to buy more products that will fix whatever the advertiser's making the person feel shame about. That is more forceful than ever. So it can feel like very David and Goliath, like, you know, we're just mere mortals just trying to do this thing called life. And there are messages that are coming at us trying to tell us to be anything other than what we are. And that's really difficult. But The good thing is that we don't need to love our body. We don't even need to like our body. We could just be okay with our body. And that's super powerful as well. When I first started doing this work, I think because I'm quite a black and white, all or nothing kind of person. Well, I'm less black and white these days, the older I get. But it was, I hate my body. And then I learned to love my body. And then I thought, I want 8 billion people to love their bodies too. And of course, that's not the reality. And body neutrality is actually very powerful as well. So it looks different on everyone. But what we talk about is not body positivity. We talk about body acceptance. And it's a conversation we're still having a decade on.
Yeah, that made me think of, I just recently saw an Instagram post, like as you said in the documentary, it's very much like magazines, TV, but now it's Instagram, TikTok, ads, billboards, still TV, like celebrities that are endorsing certain things. There's so much information that we're bombarded with. And I was reading a post and it was talking about how Oprah is coming to Australia, and they were fearful that she was funded by an Ozempic drug company and all the things. And then in the chat, I was just reading the chat, and there were so many women that were talking about, well, you're also talking about weight loss, but just from a different perspective. You're saying you should be doing it through nutrition, but you're still making it out like you should be losing weight. So that shame piece. So I find it really interesting, and I'd love to know your perspective on that. Is that what you're meaning by like body neutrality? So just, it doesn't have to be that you're losing weight, or if you're a certain size, appearance, whatever, that's your worth.
Yeah, I mean, when I talk about body neutrality, I'm talking about like it's just you can be okay with your body. And it's really about focusing, for us, it's about focusing on how your body functions, what you do with your body, how you feel in your body. And again, because we have many different experiences in our bodies, the GLP-1 conversation, I and my organisation, we think that's one for a person to have with their doctor. Who are we to judge or comment on anyone else's choices they make about their bodies? Like, I just think we need to remind ourselves to stay out of everyone else's business. Oprah, I went and saw her on Saturday night here in Australia, and what a remarkable woman who's done remarkable things for women and for leadership. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, there was a drug company that promoted that event. But I guess this is the thing about the more decades you are on Earth, you understand that 2 things can be true at once. And it's not neither good or bad or this or that. It's complex. So, and even more complex for us when it comes to the relationships we have with our body. But I think if every woman who's listening to this could dial down the noise that's out there, or stop engaging with so much of the noisy content and spend more time with herself and her own intuition, I reckon that might be a really good way for us to be healthier and happier in our bodies.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think it's that piece of, how do we detach appearance with health, or it defining how healthy we are? I think it was really interesting looking at that part in the documentary. We went through the different decades, and it was, in the 60s, the ideal body shape was this, and in the 70s it changed, in the 80s, and so on and so on. So I wonder, what is it that is now the ideal in 2025, 2026? What's the ideal body shape in the media? And is that just another way that we're sort of, again, equating health with appearance?
Yeah, I don't even know what the ideal is these days. And even if I did, I'm not sure I'd answer your question, because I don't want to be part of that problem. There is no ideal body. There is, we come in all different shapes and sizes and abilities. And I guess that's what I tried to depict in the film, is that it is so wildly ridiculous that anyone should say at any given time in history what the perfect body is and should look like. It's almost like fashion when they say, this season you should wear. It's like, this season wear whatever feels good, and it should have pockets, because we all know that pockets are sensible. But it's just, anyone else who is telling me how I should look or feel in my body, that to me is like an alarm. I'm like, no one has that right to do that. I'm not listening. I'm out. I bought into it for too long, and it made me feel really lousy. And now I just don't engage in that. And it's simple things like curating your feed. You know, we all know that we should curate our social media feed, but actually do it. Like, it makes such a difference to go to your feed and be on social media and actually be like people reflecting back to you, wise people who are doing amazing, important things in the world, but it has nothing to do with how they look. If we look at appearance-based images on social media, we are much more likely, in fact, 7 minutes on Instagram can make us 24 times more likely to feel depressed or have anxiety if we're looking at bodies. So I just think it's time for us to get really discerning about who we allow into our lives and the messages that we get.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So how do you connect with your body?
By moving it when I need to, excuse me. Well, yeah, by moving it, that's how I connect with it. I spend lots of time in nature, so hiking, and I guess being really intuitive with what my body needs. So some days I lift heavy weights still and love it. Other days I need to be gentle, and it all depends on what's going on, what the kids are doing. I've got 4 teenagers. I run a very full-on organization. You know, we've got our own charity and there's so much we're doing there. So I demand a lot of my body. So I have to be really thoughtful and purposeful about what and how I engage with it, how I fuel it, how I move it, how I enjoy it. All of those things are really important.
It almost seems like the underlying intention is that, and you say it so perfectly in the documentary, your body is not an ornament. It's a vehicle for your life, which I think is so profound. It's that shift and the change of, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what other people are trying to tell me to do for the appearance of it. My body is the thing that helps me run a charity, to be a mum of 3 teenage kids, to be able to feel good. I want to nourish it. I want it to be doing the things that light up my life, that help me live my life. Like, it's a vehicle. So you didn't start out like that. So how did you go from, I guess, the very beginning of your journey at that start of the documentary, if you can fill in the listeners with that, if they haven't heard of you before, and then sort of how you've gotten to where you are? Because there's a lot of women that will be listening to this that might be feeling right now how you did at the very beginning of your journey. And I'd love for you to be able to help them understand how they can get to where you are now.
Yeah, sure. So, gosh, it feels like it's such a long time ago. But for me, after I had my 3 children, my body changed a lot, and I didn't like how it changed, and I wanted to get my body back. And for anyone who's listening who has decided not to have children or hasn't got children, it doesn't matter, because our bodies are always changing and always evolving. There's always something. And, you know, for us as women in particular, you know, periods and puberty and, you know, for some of us pregnancy and then perimenopause, it's all the P's. There's lots of changes to our body. But I think for me, I think it was the fact that I bought into the messages that told me that I should look different and that there was something wrong with my body. And I think that's how we can really simplify this, what we talk about here, and embracing our bodies, is that the minute that you buy into a message that says be different, that will take you away from feeling good in your body, because all of a sudden that you're wanting to change your body, but not for the right reasons, not for your reasons, for another reason that someone sold you. They've sold you a problem that most of the time is not a problem. And if I was to really simplify this, I think in my own life now, it's about putting experience over appearance every time. So, when you mentioned your body is not an ornament, it's the vehicle to your dreams. It's not to say, I had my hair cut yesterday and sometimes I wear makeup and, I make all these choices about my body and lots of us do. But they're choices that work for me. But I know that what brings me the most joy in life and what lights me up the most is choosing to experience life. And I can only do that when I'm really present in my own body, not worried about how my body looks, but really there doing the activity or going on the adventure or having an exchange of energy with somebody, having a conversation, connecting with another human. The minute that you are in your head about your body and how it looks, it is the minute that sort of it diminishes that experience. And so it's funny. I mean, I have 4 teenagers now, and my daughter just left the house just before this interview, and I just reminded her, just as a joke, because she knew I was doing this podcast, and I said to her, "Hey, Michaela, remember, the least interesting thing about you is the way you look." And she looked at me, she's like, "I know, Mum, I know." And off she went with her girls to do, the little catch up. Because, my Michaela, who was in that film, who this whole movement started because of her, she's, now 16 and driving a car. Life happens so quickly. And I guess this is the thing that I want every listener to understand and appreciate, is that it is so fleeting. And it is possible to learn to embrace your body. And it will take some effort and it will take some energy, and you might need to spend some money buying a book or watching a film or whatever it is, doing a course. But it is so worth it. And it's something that I want every woman on the planet to prioritize herself, because there is nothing greater or more powerful than having a peaceful relationship with your body.
Absolutely. And that comes to me, I see that a lot in my patients who are women, and it's maybe their symptom from their body is they have extra weight. Maybe it's that they have acne. Maybe it's that they can't sleep. Maybe it's that they feel tired after they eat. Maybe it's that they have a autoimmune condition. Whatever it is, a lot of the people, when they first come to me for support, they hate X part of themselves. They hate their weight. They hate their acne. They hate their infection. They hate their whatever. And they're trying to come at it from a place of hating it. And like, I just want to get rid of it. I shouldn't have it. Instead of, and when we come at it from a place of, oh, hey, your body is actually incredible. The fact that it is alive and doing all of the things to help you function right now, and it's giving you this symptom, this sign to say, hey, maybe I need some support in this way. But it's always about coming back to that. I love what you just said there, is like coming from that loving place and even that body neutrality of going, you know what, like my body's actually giving me messages. It's just a message. So what am I going to do with it? There's no positive or negative, that black and white thinking. It's just, that curiosity and compassion of going, what might my body be trying to tell me? How can I support it so then it is that vehicle for experiences? I absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I love that. So when we think about now, what's happening now in society, I know you mentioned at the start AI. If you had a 6-year-old now, if Michaela was 6 again, what would you be doing as a parent, as a mum, to help support her?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about parenting is that, gosh, it's wild. I should just leave it at that. It's just wild, and it's scary, and we're all just doing the best that we can. So I want parents to know that what they say about their bodies has a massive impact on their child's relationship with their bodies. So often parents will say to me, social media, all the things. And I'm like, yeah, social media is part of the problem, but it's not the whole problem. Long before Kim Kardashian and co we had body image issues. So let's just not put all the eggs in that basket. Let's focus on what we say about our own bodies in front of our kids, because they are sponges and we are the kings and queens, and they're looking at us. And we never want to go for the run because we ate the chocolate cake. Like, we don't want to set up that dysfunction that we move our bodies because we're punishing it for something we've done. We want to show our kids that we move our bodies because we respect our bodies and we enjoy our bodies. And I don't know, I go for the run because it's great for my mental health, all those types of reasons. So whether you're a parent or not, everyone listening could do one thing that would have a profound impact on all of us, and that is never say anything negative about our bodies or anyone else's bodies again. There's so much judgment and shame in the world, and it's got us nowhere. In fact, it's set us decades back in terms of health and well-being, because we know, and all the research tells us, that when people appreciate their bodies, they're more likely to move their bodies. They're more likely to eat fruit and vegetables. They're more likely to have a stable weight. They're more likely to do preventative factors like wear sunscreen. They are less likely to smoke, drink, vape, take illicit drugs. So, and it actually makes sense if you think about it. If you feel good in your body, you make great choices. But if you feel bad or feel shame, you might make great choices for a really short time, and then before you know it, I shouldn't say you're eating the pie because I ate a pie on the weekend. I don't want to shame pies. But before you know it, you're making choices that might not be aligned to your values when it comes to health. So I think that's a big one to unpack, because I think a lot of people for a long time have felt that shame and feeling bad will motivate them towards better behavior. It just doesn't. And I think if we stop to reflect even on that as a fact and a piece of research, that our intuition will really guide us here as well, that all the times that we're feeling good, we do good things for our body. If we were to dumb it down that much, maybe that's as simple as it needs to be.
A quick pause before we continue. If you're listening to this episode, chances are you're trying to make sense of a symptom, whether that's weight, fatigue, PMS, brain fog, hair shedding, acne, or period pain. Maybe you've run the tests, being told everything looks normal while nothing actually feels normal. I want you to hear this clearly. Your symptoms are real, and your body is communicating, and you don't actually have to figure this out alone. After decades of trying to find answers for my patients and myself, and studying across the various fields of healthcare, I created the Fundamentals Framework, because the healthcare system hasn't had a space for women who feel stuck between symptoms and answers, and I wanted to fix that by giving you clarity and a way forward without being dismissed, overwhelmed, or disconnected from your body. Inside our clinic, you work one-on-one with a registered healthcare practitioner trained in this method, complete science-backed functional testing that looks beyond bloods, and build a personalized roadmap based on your body, not trends and not bias. Not to fix you, but to understand you. If you're ready to stop guessing and start listening differently to your body, you can book a free clarity call via the link in our show notes. Appointments open early 2026. All right, let's get back into the episode. When you feel well-fed, like you're nourished, you've slept well, you're around people that you love, you're in a good frame of mind, generally you make decisions that support you and support the version of you in alignment with your values. But if I think about, you're a bit tired, or you're really busy and there's no time in the day for you, and it's like, then like little slips, little things that are out of alignment or out of alignment with your values can start to creep in a bit. And then I think it's really interesting, that shame cycle of, particularly when we're running our health and what we do for our body in terms of a recipe or something that someone told us online. You need to follow XYZ, and that's going to mean that you're healthy, whatever that might be, whatever the fad is of the time. And I think that, and using that as our guiding values, actually creates the shame spiral. We just stay stuck in the shame spiral because we're using something externally as opposed to something internal.
Yeah, and it's not to say that we can't take information on, but again, we need to be discerning about how we apply it to us, because it's really noisy. Like there's so much information about the wellness industry now. So I'm okay just to read some and dive into others, and then I might have my go-tos of people that I trust, and like I've really gone deep into their work. Lindy Cohen is one of them. As a nutritionist, is very clever. Stacey Sims, Dr. Stacey Sims is another one. But I will take the best of the information and make it mine. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to take information and put it through our own filters, our own experiences of life. Some of us are managing, elderly parents and teenage kids and running businesses, and the best that we can do is X, Y, and Z. And so there's always different seasons in our life. But one thing that's certainly helped me is I had 3 mantras this year that has put me in the best health of my life. And it was cortisol down, protein up, and move more. There were just 3 things that I did. And I just focused on doing those 3 things. Running 12Ks, bench pressing more than I ever have, 5 chin-ups yesterday. I'm trying to get to 6, in the next month. Like all these things that I've been able to progress towards, which I like having goals. I like having health goals. It works for me. I tell you what doesn't work for me is a number on a scale. So now I know by having some other mantras and some other goals that take my head away from that arbitrary, that number and that obsession and that focus that I had for such a long time. It just makes the pursuit of health and well-being like a little more flexible and fun. It's not so it's this or it's this. It's just like eat some more protein, move my body a bit more, and do all the things that I know reduce my cortisol. When I posted about this on Instagram, everyone was like, how did you do it? How did you do it? Especially with the cortisol down. Like it was just a comment, cortisol down. And I try to go back to lots of people, but we mostly know how to get our cortisol levels down, right? We just know. Like we know, like as individuals, we know what drives it up. We know what brings it down. And if you need to go to AI or your health journals or whatever to look at what drives cortisol up or what drives it down and then identify on those lists where you sit, I'm not sure it needs to be as complicated as it seems sometimes. And that has worked for me. It might not work for everyone, but I do like the simplicity of a few mantras to work towards.
It's almost like that. It's fundamentals over fancy. It's a little bit of more protein, not, I have to hit X amount of grams. And this expert on this podcast said this amount of grams, and this person pulled this new research article which says this thing, and then that person says this thing. It's like, as you said, the overwhelming amount of information that we have access to now is overwhelming, and it's not slowing down. So I love that, those mantras, the simple, just get cortisol down, however it's going to work for you. Increase protein, however it's going to work for you. So I think that's a really important point to make in terms of coming back to those fundamental things that everyone, as you said, when you actually just sit with your body and go, is that going to feel good? Will my body like that? You're probably going to know. You're going to go, yes, that's for me, or no, that's not for me.
You're just so going to know. But I reckon this is what's happened to so many of us. Like, I think having your health providers and your team of people, whoever they might be, I think that's really important, because I think sometimes you don't have all the answers and it's nice to bounce, but they need to be really people that you trust. But I find it extraordinary how much power we have just given away to everybody else. And I think if there's one thing that I would love everyone, especially in their journey, to have a better body image, is really listen to your needs and what you want and what you know and what experience has taught you. For me, experience taught me that diet, I mean, I laugh about this when I deliver keynotes. Diet is a 4-letter word and the first 3 letters spell die. If that was not a sign, then I don't know what is. Seriously. But I for so long tried them all. I tried them all and I tried to get the weight down. I did everything. And now in my wiser self, I now know that diets will never work for me. And I think a lot of people would have arrived at that place. And restrictive eating does not work for me. But keeping it really simple does. So I guess it's just I implore people to really have a little self-assessment. What's worked, what hasn't, and then map out a plan accordingly.
I love that. I often say pay attention to your shoulds. Is there anything that from your perspective, someone might be like, oh, that's me going against my values and I didn't even realize it. Like when, I should have gone to the gym today. I should have. It's like, if it's a should, again, you're shaming yourself. Your body didn't actually really want to. It was more from your mind and what you think you should be doing versus what you feel you actually want to do. So is there anything where you have noticed, if I pick up that thing, then I know that I'm sort of going off track, particularly for those people that are just starting out on their journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good one that you've picked up on. I should. But I would be very cautious and careful of the rules. Like, I should go to the gym because that's how I used to train. I should, and I have to go to the gym 5 times a week and I have to sweat to make it, to tick the box. And I think that intuitive movement, listening to what my body needs to do and tuning into that, then there's no rules. There's no rules around this. And when we're bound by rules, we're going to break them, right? No one likes rules. So I think, I think you nailed it. If you're saying I should do something, or if something feels like it's forced upon you, i.e., rules around what you should eat and when you should train and how you should train, then adopt some more flexible thinking. I think, change it up.
And I think that's a really important point to make. And what you were saying before about your health team and the information, as a practitioner who gives people access to information and supports them, it's always the nuance. And I'll always suggest a guideline, like eat more protein or move your body more. But it's always underpinned by the number one rule, which is this going to be good for your body today in that moment? Because if it's not, then your body will tell you. Last week, I was sick and I was like, I still really feel like I want to go to this Pilates class. I love the class. It's incredible. We're actually interviewing Emma, who is the owner of the fitness Pilates class. It's called Therapy Fitness, which is incredible. It's all designed to be in tune with your body, listen to your body. What does it need? I'm like, I'll go. It's quite a strenuous exercise class. It's in a hot room. There's disco lights. You move to music. You're yelling at the same time. It's like a full body workout. It's
I want to
incredible.
come.
Not just come, but come if you want to come. I thought, I'll go. And I did it. And I didn't work as hard as I normally do because I'm like, I'm just going to feel into what my body needs. And when I got up in the morning, I thought, I should really cancel this class. I'm actually too sick to go. I don't even think I can go half. I should just not go and go for a walk on the beach instead. And I went to the class because I'm like, I'm already up anyway. I've paid for the class. I've booked it in. I'll just go. So my mind was thinking of all the different reasons to go. And I went and I nearly passed out in the class. And then after the class, I had to lay down for a bit. And then I was in my car for 20 minutes. I couldn't drive. And I'm like, so, when, Anthea, you say to people, listen to your body, what's your body trying to tell you? You should probably also listen to your own body with this. So, I just wanted to say that example because I think a lot of us, whether we're in shoulds because we already booked in the class, shoulds because we paid for it, shoulds because we think someone else said we should do it. For you, Taryn, have you noticed those should sort of decrease, or do you still notice them creep in? And what do you do for yourself if they do?
Yeah, I have a pretty good pretty good relationship with knowing what my body needs and listening and tuning in. Like, I'm really respectful of that.
Have you always?
No, gosh, no. No. I mean, when I was training to have my body to look a particular way, I didn't have any relationship with actually the wisdom of my body telling me what, was good for me and what wasn't good for me. Like, zero. Because I was so obsessed and so focused on the outcome of how my body looked. And therefore, I might have had the physicality of a healthy person. Like, if you looked at me, you'd go, not that there's any such thing, because we don't believe that you can look at someone and see they're healthy, but that's what it's in inverted commas. Physically, you'd go, oh, healthy. But what people couldn't see is all the other layers of health, which was emotional health and spiritual health and mental health, that were really deeply suffering. So, yes, of course, there's been times in my life where I've not struck that balance at all well. These days, I can be a bit of a workaholic. I really love my work, and I feel very fueled by helping women to learn to embrace their bodies, and all people and children as well. So that's the only thing I've kind of got to keep a check on, is being able to switch off.
Is there anything, I suppose, I'm trying to think for myself, what's helped me connect in and tune in and actually just respect and honor what my body is saying over my mind? Is there anything that's helped you do that in that time, or it's just literally practice? The more you do it, the stronger that connection to your body becomes?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the practice of mindfulness helps us connect to our body. So that's a practice that I engage in every day in some way. But for me, I've discovered that the way to do that in its most purest and simplest of forms is going for a walk or a hike in nature. Like, it takes me back to, I mean, I saw an emu the other day and my levels of excitement was like next level. And then I on the weekend, I saw kookaburras and I dialed up, I was with my husband and I dialed up I wanted to see a snake, but I didn't get that. But I got lots of lizards and it was just this kind of, that for me does it all. Like, it does all of my mindfulness. Just, I move my body, I'm in nature. I get thrilled by seeing koalas in trees and emus and whatever it is. So I definitely know if I go too long without moving my body in nature, I'll start to feel a little bit like, get me out of here. It's interesting, when I travel, I feel that. I had my first panic attack when I was making Embrace Film, actually. I did about 7 countries in a matter of 10 days or something. It was wild. And because my brain is strong, I was like, I can do this, until my body was like, oh, you can't do this. And I was in a hotel room in New York and it was like the walls were closing in on me, and I'd never experienced it before. So it was really frightening. And I had this urge after that had passed just to go get my feet on grass. It was like, back then it was a very odd thought. Now it's a thought that I understand very well, that these are the things that make my body regenerate itself, I think. That's probably the best way to say it. And everyone who's listening has this toolkit of things that work for them. And I guess it's just not about, it's not about ignoring it, and it's about being okay with it. And emus, koalas, snakes, lizards, if that's what's going to do it for you, well, that's what's going to do it for you. No rules.
Okay, I want to pause this conversation with Taryn for a moment and turn this back to you and your body. We've just been talking about how shame doesn't create health and how appreciating your body actually makes you more likely to look after it. So let's make this really practical. From a systems point of view, how you feel about your body right now isn't a character flaw. It's actually the product of a system you've been living in. Much like if a fish is sick, It's generally to do with the ocean that it's swimming in and nothing to do with the fish. So when it comes to the comments you've heard, the images you see, the rules you've been trying to follow, this is the ocean that your fish is swimming in. So rather than fixing you, we're going to gently tweak the system. So step 1, I want you to audit your inputs. So the first question is, what's feeding your body story right now? Now, that might be Instagram accounts that you scroll before bed, the friend who always talks about being good or being bad with food, or the way people in your family talk about their own bodies, or maybe the fitness or wellness rules you've absorbed even from people you like. So just notice, no judgment, and you might even ask yourself, if I believed everything my environment tells me about bodies, how could I feel any different to how I feel now? That alone can be a huge light bulb moment. So step 2, catch the should and stack a kind of thought. Next, I want you to listen to your body's shoulds for the next 24 hours. I should have gone to the gym. I shouldn't look like this by now. I should be eating cleaner, way less, train harder. Every time you notice a should, just add one stacked sentence on top. Things like, I should have gone to the gym and I'm allowed to be tired. I should look different and my body has carried me through a lot. Or I should eat perfectly and I'm learning what actually feels good for me. You're not pretending everything is perfect. You're just refusing to let shame have the last word. And step 3, change one piece of the system. Finally, I want you to choose that one tiny system change. That change that's going to change the ocean that your fish is swimming in. So it might be that you mute or unfollow 3 accounts that make you feel worse about your body. It might be that you decide that in your home there's a no body bashing rule, including about your own. Or it might be that you pick one experience over appearance moment this week. It could be going swimming in the togs you already own, or being in that photo, or moving your body for how it feels, not for how it looks. Remember, your current body feelings are a logical output of the system you've been in. You are not the problem. The system is actually changeable. And every time you soften a should or tidy up an input or choose experience over appearance, you're quietly rewriting that system in your favor. All right, let's jump back into the conversation with Taryn. Exactly. It reminds me, we have an episode in this series with Dr. Gina Cleo, who is a habit researcher.
Mm-hmm.
She was talking about how, like, in terms of if you're trying to lose weight and it comes back on, what's happening with your habits and dopamine and food addiction and all these other pieces that come into this sort of contextual puzzle when we're talking about weight and image and everything in between. And she mentioned that, as you've said, shaming ourselves doesn't help us change our habits and become the person that we want to become in line with our values. It's having that dopamine hit or the things that we want to move towards. And she's like, it doesn't have to be a dopamine hit from, things that you actually don't really like or it's not in line with your values. She said it's literally just finding things that you enjoy, that give you excitement, like what you just said there, the emus or the lizards, or just having that excitement. I think it's really interesting because a lot of the women that I speak with, and I think this ties into that body shame, is, well, I can't be happy or excited or nourish my body and give back to my body until XYZ is done, until I look a certain way, until the kids are this, until my job is this, until whatever. It's almost like we put ourselves behind everything else. And then finally we get to nourish ourselves and listen to our body and love ourselves once everything else is fine. Mm. So would there be anything that would you say that that's how you felt at the beginning? Like at the beginning of your journey, where you sort of, were you noticing that you put yourself behind other things in your life, or that wasn't necessarily a trend that you found for yourself?
No, I think it was more the fact that I was so focused on what I thought would make me happy and then it didn't. So I was so focused on having a particular type of body, and therefore I did all of the things that I could to get that particular type of body. But just so happened to realize that in the process of doing that, I was like, oh no, this is too hard. Like this is just way too hard for me to have this level of obsession. It wasn't sustainable. So I know that I can train my body to have that stereotypical perfect bikini body. I can do that. Does it bring me joy? No. Because for my body shape to look like that just takes me out of my life, and I'm just not present, and I'm so disconnected from my joy. You know, I remember hiking and going up mountains, like running up the top and then getting to the top and looking at my watch to determine how I was feeling. Was I going to feel good or bad because of the amount of calories that I had burned? Like that's what happens at the top of the hill. Like, how good is this? Instead of, oh my gosh, how's the view? Just very small things like that took me out of my life. But that accumulation of all those small choices that we make then equals this, big hairy monster of big thoughts and feelings about how much we hate our bodies or how much we want to change our bodies. And then there goes the cycle. So we really need to be compassionate for ourselves. Self-compassion is the key in all of this. We're so hard on ourselves. And I'm glad that you mentioned habits, because I actually use myself habit stacking to help me be more compassionate to myself. Like, I do a lot of high pressure things, like on stage or in media or whatever it might be. And then you say something stupid or you don't say the thing and you give yourself a hard time. And now I'm like, the minute I do that and I'm mean to myself, I've now learned to habit stack a positive comment on top of the negative one. And then I can observe all these thoughts and then put them to the side and move on, as opposed to the shame spiral that can be when you start saying negative things about yourself. Then the next thing hops on. Then all of a sudden, you're not in a great place. So habit stacking is actually really clever. It's worked for me, and could be one of those things that could help people when it comes to body image as well. When you're looking in the mirror and you're making a comment about what you don't like, what you see, maybe it's about adding a habit, like stacking a habit on top of that to then say one nice thing that you appreciate about your bodies. Like, maybe that's the key difference. And I think that we need to remember we need to take action and we need to do something. We can't just wish that we could embrace our bodies. The amount of times I've heard women say that, oh, I wish I could embrace my body. Well, don't wish. Do something about it. And also, there's like, it's the goal is just to move towards more kindness and self-compassion and body acceptance. Like, that's the ultimate. Just move a little bit closer to that. There's no, I guess, definitive place that you'll end up going. It's not like you turn a switch on and go, okay, I'm going to embrace my body now, and it just happens, because your body's always changing and it's evolving and new things pop up all the time. New challenges pop up. But I believe that everyone has the capacity to move towards body acceptance in some way, and it's worth it.
I think it's really interesting when you're saying, I've been doing a little bit of my own geeking out on systems theory. So I recently listened to an episode of a podcast that Brene Brown was speaking on, and she sort of flippantly mentioned it. And I was like, oh, systems theory, tell me, like, learn a bit more about this. So, of course, ChatGPT and pulling research articles and all the things. And I found it really interesting when we apply it to this. So you can apply systems theory to literally pretty much any area of life. Could be finance, could be weight, could be our body, could be relationships, could be nature, could be literally anything. And one of the main premises of systems theory is that whatever the system is producing is the purpose of the system. So if right now what you are experiencing is, I hate my body, I feel shame of my body, I don't like how it feels. I don't like how it looks, all the things. That is a result. That is a perfect product of the current system. So it's not to say that it's right or that it's wrong. It's just this is the product of the system. So how do we change the product? We change the system. So instead of taking things personally and going, oh, I wish I could change how I feel about myself. I wish I could embrace myself. As you just said, well, do something about it. And the doing something about it is changing some aspect of the system. And that could be a behavioral change like habits. It could be a paradigm shift of going, my body isn't an ornament, it's a vehicle. So you're completely changing the identity that you have around your body, because it's no wonder, as you've said this whole time and in your documentary, there's actually no wonder that, as you said, 91% of women, quote unquote, hate their body. It's a product of the system that we're all in, but we can actually have control of that. And I think, to your point and what you've said so beautifully in this, is that we do have control over that. And it's about taking those small actions. Like, you're not at the mercy of this. Like, you actually can do something about this, and you're not like unlucky, and it's not something that's genetic. It's like all these things that people can think about. It's just going, okay, if this is a product of the system that I'm currently in, what are some parts of this system that I can change? And I really love, you've given us some really great tools. I love the habit stacking, the mantras, not necessarily having rules. They can be guidelines. Move more, lower cortisol, increase protein, the rituals. I think these are all really great things that everyone listening can start to implement in their day to actually see change. Because everyone that's listening to this is not just like a interesting conversation to have and then you move on and then you listen to the next podcast and, oh, I need to find the answers here. You actually can start to do things now that really shift how you feel and the product of the system that you're currently in.
Yeah. And can I just jump in and say also, because this is probably really important to get those wheels moving for people in their heads. I've never met anyone who's learned to embrace their body and regretted the decision to do so. Not one person. Not one. It should come with 100% money back guarantee. It feels so damn good, and to fully step into your power and to have this, energy is probably the thing that it'd have to be the top 3 things that I value most about embracing my body as opposed to when I wasn't. People always say, how do you get all the energy to do all the things? I'm like, well, I think a big part of it is because I'm not spending all of my precious time hating on my body or wishing it was different. Like, that in itself, women often say they're tired, and they wish they had more energy. Well, imagine moving that really large part of your brain that spends so much time thinking about this stuff. My greatest hope is that at the very least people could just try it on. Just try it on, see how it feels. And there are so many things, and there's so much research now, and there's so many practical things to embrace your body, that it's worth it. And it's soul destroying to hate your body. It's not our purpose on life to do it. And we get 28,000 days to play and adventure. Like, it's not a lot of time. I'm 47, I'm 48 in a few weeks. And I'm like, how did that even happen? But that's life. It moves really quickly. And I certainly don't want to get to the end and have this regret that I gave so much of my time and life away because of my saggy boobs or my cellulite on my thighs. It's just like, that doesn't make sense. So I'm going to take action now before it's too late.
I love it. I absolutely love that. And side note, when you just said the cellulite on your legs, it reminded me of the part in your documentary where you went to the plastic surgeon and he was talking about, oh, we can take this from your bum and put it into your lips and all the things. And I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? And was he fully like serious and just like this is exactly what we need to do?
I can't tell you how many times I've answered that question in the last 10 years. Did he know? Did the surgeon know? And was he serious? I'm like, yeah, I told him exactly who I was. I actually sent him the Kickstarter trailer of the film that I was going to make, which was Embrace, and we were making Embrace. He knew everything. So, yeah, I guess I won't say that's what we're up against because I don't want to make it a fight. But I mean, you would have seen my look to camera when I just had so much I wanted to say. And I was trying to be a really good first-time film director and let the story just unfold as opposed to controlling the narrative. But you could imagine who I am and what I really wanted to say to that surgeon and I didn't. But yeah, interesting.
That was very, very interesting. Taryn, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom and creating all that you are doing in this world. It is truly amazing. And I am so grateful for all of the impact that you are creating in so many women and humans' lives. I wanted to end today with the question that you ask in your documentary, actually, of how do you define your relationship with your body? One of the people you interviewed said, it's my soul's mate. And I actually really loved that. So I'm curious what your connection is with your body, how you define it.
Oh, that's a really hard question. I don't think I've ever answered that. And yeah, it's my soul's mate. That was from Nora Tchirner. I think that's actually a really great description. Gosh, how do I articulate it? I'm just going to give you one word. Just love. I have love for it. I love what I'm able to do in life with it. And I have a lot of respect for my body. And yeah, I'm going to use Nora. I have to message her after this. And I'm like, I am stealing it because that is very true. It is my soul's mate. We get to have all this fun in this lifetime together.
I think I'm going to steal it too, and maybe some of the listeners as well will be like, oh, my body is my soul's mate. I'm going to take good care of it. I'm going to listen to it. So, Taryn, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your wisdom.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to our Weight and Metabolism series. It's designed to help you understand that your weight is a message from your body, not a character flaw. If something in this series resonated with you, let us know in the comments below. Check out the show notes for important follow-up information and links, and make sure you're subscribed so you never miss what's coming next. Please remember, this episode is for educational purposes only. Always consult a qualified health practitioner before making any medical decisions. Every body is different, and so is every healing journey.